Hello everyone! So we're here from Group 3 and in today's video we're going to explain our results in the survey Sexual Harassment Based on AI Technology.
So on this video, we will have three sections. The first section is the explanation, the data from the result of our survey. And the second is the interview part of the expert and the informants. And the last section is the overall conclusion.
So we will have the interview for three persons. The first one is Mem Hapsari, who is an expert for gender and media studies. And next two are our respondents of the survey. One female and one male.
So I'm gonna explain the data that we got from the survey. So the first one is popular social media platforms. So most respondents primarily use Instagram, X, WhatsApp, and TikTok. But Instagram is especially popular with many users spending several hours in daily. And the second one is awareness of AI deepfake. A large number of people are aware of AI deepfakes, learning about them mainly through social media or friends. They see deepfakes as a serious threat, especially in cases of misuse for harassment. And the third one is concerns about deepfake harassment. People believe deepfake harassment could harm victims' mental health, damage reputation, and make it harder to trust content online. The anonymous nature of AI technology also raises concerns about safety and control. And the fourth is impact on victims. Respondents feel that deepfake harassment leads to lasting harm, from mental health challenges to reputation loss, with the content being hard to remove once it's already posted online. And the fifth is suggested solutions. Many recommend stronger legal protections, support services for the victims, and public awareness campaigns to educate people on the risks of deepfakes, especially through platforms like Instagram or TikTok or X to reach younger users. So that's it. That's the data we got from the survey.
I'm already with the expert, Ma'am Sri Kusuma Hapsari, the one who has the expertise in gender and media studies. She is also one of the lecturers in 11 Maret University. We are going to ask some questions regarding our survey about sexual harassment based on deepfake AI. So first thing first, ma'am, I say good afternoon. My name is Dea Anamelia. You can call me Dea. So, thank you for letting us to do this interview. We would like to ask some questions. First of all, we would like to ask for your opinion. Based on our survey, the 90% of respondents condemn the behavior of perpetrators of AI-based sexual violence, and one respondent stated, just remove the AI because it only brings the negative impacts. Moreover, it brings the sexual harassment. In your opinion, is this the best course of actions to prevent AI-based sexual violence?
I don't think so, because there are a lot of advantages of AI. For us, if we want to know something new, we can begin from asking to AI and then we read to understand more about the materials. But concerning sexual harassment, and then right now the number is quite high, especially online sexual harassment, because people can just hide and using fake names. The possibility to do this quite a lot, yeah. So it is difficult actually to erase this or try to fight against. Try to not making it happen, because the problem of sexual harassment has been, in my opinion, this is innate. It is a part of our everyday life, and it has been quite a while the attempts to fight against this. So actually regulation couldn't stop this, and then many attempts has been conducted by many institutions to fight against this, and then it is still difficult. since the media, especially the media here, actually in some way stand in two different position. In one position they disagree, they condemn the sexual harassment, but the other way they find actually sexual exploitations, they can get a lot of money because people like they will use this. And then another thing is this, because every designers of apps, they think about money, so this is why they want people like click or at least use this app for few minutes at least so they can get something. And then if the number of ads come up in these apps here relation to pornographic things, and then many people click this, so this is why it's like a clickbait, yeah. And it makes the apps here becomes more popular, since you will stay in the apps here although actually you click paid for sexual things here. That's the problem. So in my opinion, it's not like you do not use AI, but AI can be trained. So if you stop like every time you find out that there is something that inappropriate, just move away, and then AI will learn that you don't like it. So it is mostly about individual awareness rather than we try to ask, for example, government or institution to do something, or even the company, because the company here actually get a lot of money from this. So that makes difficult. Yeah. And then another things, actually many male and female, not only just male, female also enjoy something pornographic. That's the reason it becomes an industry.
So from your opinion, instead of we remove the AI, so we could raise self-awareness instead of just remove or make regulations about it, because some also enjoy those things, right?
Yeah, and then many people actually, like in my opinion, hypocrites, yeah, because they say I don't like, but silently they try to get this, yeah. So between what they say in front of people and then when they are alone, they will do something differently. So it is difficult because many people, especially young people, men and women, enjoy this. And then the problem also, some female disguise themselves as a male, and then they do you know, making jokes, or maybe they enjoy looking at woman's body. The problem is because it has been established in our society for not only decades but centuries. So to change this, it is kind of revolution. And then since it has been established for centuries, to change this not only just for few months or few years, but maybe centuries wouldn't. In my opinion, it can be stronger and stronger, since many people can always use fake account.
So moving to next questions, ma'am. According to our survey, the majority of respondents agreed that it is important to spread information through social media to prevent AI-based sexual violence issue. However, we also know that Indonesian people tend to be curious. The more we prohibit them, the more they're curious. And how do you view the role of social media in disseminating these informations? Are there any risks that need to be considered, ma'am?
The birth of social media actually democratizations of what we say medium to say some things. So social media is against what do we say, conventional media, since conventional media uh, were owned by private companies, and people who really have money, and they have a very what we say, big authority, and social media here is try against the hegemony of big company, because when certain company here uh, have media station, for example, television, newspaper, while actually they have other business. So it is easy for them to like exploit the society by like sorting out the news, the information that can be spread out to society. And then social media uh, were birthed because of were born because of people considered that we, what we say, the marginal people need also to say some things, and uh, like to know some things that in the past they couldn't get it, because all information have been sorted out. So social media here, we can say it's what is it, alternative media. You can always make your own medium, and you can always uh, publish anything you want. And social media here are based on freedom of expression. So this is why, since it is freedom of expressions, it is also your freedom to close it, your freedom to ban it. So in social media era, it is not about regulation, but it is about self-control. So this is why for people actually they need to like what is it, educate themselves how to be wise, because social media is not about whether you are smart or not, but it is about whether you are wise or not. If you are wise, so you just like scan, skim, and also read some things that you think important and make you better, rather than you try to swallow that many trash information you can get it freely from social media.
So we have to be wise in consuming the information from social media, right? So, from the theoretical perspective itself, ma'am, how can public understanding of AI-based sexual violence influence attitudes and behaviors towards the preventions of such acts? Are there specific models or theories that could explain this relationship?
It is difficult to measure this, because you know social media is something that you access it silently, individually, in your own room, in your own private space. So it is difficult. So it is again about uh, because it is freedom of expression. So if there are a lot of information that you think that it is inappropriate, you can just say that it is inappropriate, and then let them becoming a kind of war of discourses. Let discourse against and pro here in social media, and then people can choose. And then maybe if you try to that social media is about frequency. If you are not only once in spreading the information, you repeating, so it always come ups, and people someday will read this, and then when read this, maybe they are influenced, and then they think about, no, I should be wise. I don't want to do this. I want to read this. It is not good. So maybe they will be wise in the future. So again, social media is about frequent spread out the information. If you think it is important and you want like teach other people, educate people about that it is dangerous for them, especially morality. So you continue spreading the information. Someday people will read this.
So for the last questions, ma'am, what are your hopes for public policies that could help address the issue of this AI-based sexual violence, especially in FEBUNS?
We use social media also for campaign. Make a lot of campaigns and then regularly. We should be creative. So when it is good, it is creative, people will look at this. So the most important thing is you design is the material here. Sometimes the content it's not. You should not give them much information, but just give them little. But the little here, you think that it will give a big impact. It is the most important thing. And then you repeat this. You continually campaign this through SOSMED. So in the future, people will think about this. So they will reconsider when they want to do something inappropriate.
So we should do a massive in spreading this information, right? So people could know about this deepfake AI for sexual harassment, especially. Thank you for your time, ma'am. We would like to say thank you for letting us do this interview. Once again, we say thank you very much.
Okay, first of all, can you introduce yourself?
Hello everyone, my name is Farida Aulia Nurdin and I'm from English Literature 23.
Okay, hello Farida.
Hello.
Okay, so first question is, do you know what deepfake is? And can you explain it?
As far as I know, deepfake is when we fake a photo or video or like some image to other person's face without their consent or even audio. So it's a fake audio.
Oh, okay. And in your opinion, do people at FEBUNS already know about deepfake?
I think they're already aware about this thing, even in FEBUNS.
Have you and your friends like talk about this?
But as far as I remember, we haven't and we never talk about it at all.
Okay. So let's move on to the next question. In your opinion, is the impact significant for the victim? And what kinds of impact could there be?
Of course, it gives such a big impact to the victim. Like it's obviously violates their privacy, and it will make them mentally depressed. Like they will get the fear, the stress. Because their face or even their audio become such a fake material to use, and of course it will make their reputation got ruined.
Okay. Do you have any examples of these cases, like these deepfake cases, or has anyone around you has experienced this thing?
For the people around me, there is no people that experience this kind of thing, but I have seen across an experience in Twitter. So there is a mom who got message from her workmate, and her workmate said that send photos of her daughter, which already, and so her daughter still minor. So and her workmate sent photos of her daughter, which were her daughter already 18 years old and
An adult.
and it's a sexual photo of her daughter.
Wow, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would like to ask that in what situation do you think that deepfake could be used?
I think deepfake could be used in entertainment environment, even like a meme or parody, something like that. And for the film industry, so when we want to give a young vibes of an actor who got already old, maybe we could make an illusion to make the actor make them look young, something like that.
Okay, so I would like to ask, what if the deepfake is used to mocking governments? Is that a good thing or no?
In my opinion, it's a good thing because it's one of the benefits of deepfake AI, which we could use as a critical thing to a government. Like, we already know how stuck the government is right now, so we could use that as our voice.
I agree. And if you saw someone who became a victim or of deepfake, what would you gonna view of that person be? Would your view would change to that person?
No, I wouldn't change my view of that person at all, because yeah, I will just see like the way she is for me.
Okay, so like, do you mean that you don't care at all?
Of course, I feel sorry for her. Maybe I will, if she is my friend, of course, I will accompany her through this. If she got this thing, but if she's just a stranger who I just know her name, then maybe I will just, okay, I just know it, and I think that's all.
Okay, alright. Last question to conclude this interview. Is there any message you'd like to convey to the public about deepfake?
For the deepfake, I think it's a very useful technology if we use this as in a good environment, like as I said before, if we want to use in film industry, or maybe or maybe parody or meme, something like that. But we have to be careful about these things, so we should raise an awareness about this too, because as long as I know, the government haven't got any rules about this but deepfake AI, so
Yes.
we must be careful about it and give people information about the danger of this, so there is no person who will get harmed for about this technology.
Okay, thank you for Farida for today. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Nora.
Thank you.
Today we have one of our male respondents here with us. He will share his perspective on this issue. But before that, let him introduce himself first.
Halo, perkenalkan nama aku Muhammad Ilyas. Aku dari Prodi Sastra Arab angkatan 2023 dari Fakultas Ilmu Budaya tentunya. Di sini aku sebagai responden dari sebuah survei tentang deepfake di lingkungan Fakultas Ilmu Budaya dalam hal pelecehan seksual ya.
Oke, jadi menurutmu deepfake itu apa sih?
Deepfake itu apa? Izinkan aku menjawab dengan bahasa aku sendiri ya. Menurut aku deepfake itu sebuah AI yang digunakan untuk merubah seseorang dari seseorang di video, gambar atau audio itu menjadi orang lain, entah itu mukanya, postur tubuh atau suara atau hal lainnya.
Terus menurutmu di FIB ini udah banyak yang tahu belum sama deepfake gitu, atau deepfake yang konteksnya dalam pelecehan seksual?
Kalau menurut aku sih di zaman sekarang hampir semua anak muda itu udah tahu sih deepfake atau AI itu, hampir semua udah tahu gitu.
Terus kalau misalnya di kalangan cowok nih, pernah nggak sih kayak ngomongin deepfake gitu, mungkin dalam konteksnya yang pelecehan seksual atau kayak hal lain, deepfake untuk hal lain?
Kalau dalam hal, jujur ya, kalau dalam hal pelecehan seksual sih aku jarang menemukan. Mungkin kita membahas sesuatu hal tersebut itu mungkin kalau kita lagi scroll Twitter itu tiba-tiba ngelihat ini kayak palsu nih AI ini, nah gitu. Tapi kalau yang sering aku temukan itu mungkin ketika pilpres kemarin penyalahgunaan AI itu untuk sebuah video pilpres gitu, untuk menjatuhkan lawan calon presiden. Yang aku temukan, yang aku sering temukan dan obrolin sama teman-teman sih itu.
Oke, terus menurutmu dampaknya itu besar nggak buat si korban atau buat hal lainnya gitu?
Kalau ngomongin dampak itu mungkin lebih ke dampak negatif ya. Kalau dampak negatif untuk si korban rata-rata dampaknya di psikolog si korban itu dampak sangat besar sih.
Oke, terus kamu ada nggak sih contoh tentang kasus dari deepfake ini, atau mungkin orang di sekitarmu ada yang pernah mengalami nggak?
Contoh kasus, kalau contoh kasus yang terdekat ini aku lihat tuh yang pilpres kemarin itu, yang presiden kan sering buat muncul tuh kayak presiden ngomong sesuatu yang sebenarnya itu bukan presiden, cuma di fake aja, itu AI lah. Terus juga ada lagi ini kalau aku lihatnya di media sosial ya, aku lihat di sebuah iklan di TikTok. Jadi masa tiba-tiba banget Presiden Prabowo ngasih diskon sebuah jualan kasur gitu, atau Raffi Ahmad jualan baju gitu tiba-tiba. Nah itu kan termasuk deepfake. Kalau untuk di sekitar FIB ini mungkin aku belum pernah menemukan.
Kalau untuk orang di sekitarmu pernah nggak?
Alhamdulillah belum.
Lalu menurutmu dalam situasi apa sih deepfake itu boleh digunakan?
Deepfake dapat digunakan itu mungkin di sebuah kalau membuat film atau konten kreator, tapi untuk hal positif tentunya. Selama hal positif selama hal itu positif, saya rasa itu bagus untuk digunakan. Tapi rata-rata untuk saat ini sih aku seringnya melihat untuk hal negatif sih.
Oke. Kalau misalnya nih kamu ngelihat temanmu atau ada orang di sekitarmu itu jadi korban deepfake, pandanganmu terhadap orang itu tuh bakal berubah nggak?
Tentu kalau berubah enggak sih. Berubahnya itu dari aku melihat dia tuh kasihan gitu mungkin. Ya kalau aku melihatnya kasihan sih, karena itu berpengaruh banget buat mental dia. Kan kita nggak tahu, setiap orang kan mungkin mentalnya beda. Cara ngerespon seseorang dalam cara ngerespon seseorang tentang suatu hal itu berbeda-beda. Bisa jadi mungkin orangnya tuh gampang matiin hati, ya itu sangat berpengaruh buat mentalnya.
Oke, untuk mengakhiri wawancara ini, ada nggak pesan yang ingin kamu sampaikan untuk masyarakat luas tentang deepfake?
Di zaman yang udah maju ini, dengan teknologi yang sudah sangat maju dengan sangat pesat, menurutku ini kesempatan buat kita semua anak muda, buat bener-bener kesempatan buat ngembangin sebuah AI gitu, tapi tetap dalam hal positif. Yang perlu digaris bawah itu dalam hal positif. Selama hal itu positif, itu mungkin bakal bagus banget sih. Nah, kalau negatif dampaknya juga sangat buruk.
Terima kasih.
Ya, sama-sama.
So, for the overall conclusion, the rise of deepfake technology is becoming harder to avoid in today's digital world. Its rapid growth has made it easier to use and more convincing, creating challenges for individuals and society. While there isn't a clear solution to completely stop these deepfakes, there are steps we can take to reduce their impact. One important step is raising awareness about deepfakes. so people can learn to recognize and question suspicious content. We also need to take steps to protect ourselves, like being careful about what we share online and securing personal information. Governments, tech companies, and schools can work together to make rules and develop tools to detect and fight deepfakes. Even though these actions won't fully solve the problem, they can help reduce the harm deepfakes cause. In the end, teaching people to think critically and be careful with digital content is the key to dealing with this growing issue.
Okay, that's all from us. Thank you and have a great day.